I don't know. There's a million different types of jokes like this. People said Jenna Marbles being forced to quit YouTube for an old sketch, and Lindsay Ellis being forced to the interview. I don't even know. Okay. How the right deals with this problem. Truly, it feels as long as you don't cross lines into pedophilic territory, e.g. Milo, Yiannopoulos. I can't spell this guy's name, Jesus. Yiannopoulos. You're cleared for almost any behavior, and it's just written off. What about ismed or justified in some way? Examples of this are literally anything that Trump has said or done relating to infidelity, lack of religious character, insults or comments made towards almost anyone, disrespect of veterans, et cetera, et cetera. What are big, what was Matt Gaetz? What did he end up being accused of? I'm trying to remember. The one wheelchair guy, after the videos and stuff came out, he ended up losing his shit, right? 17-year-old hooker? Was that actually like proven, or what was like the... Oh, actually, a really good example of this is the relentless defense of Andrew Tate, ignoring almost anything to do with conservative figures, being photographed with Epstein, anything having to do with accusations related to basically any conservative figure, e.g. Matt Gaetz or Russell Brand. Oh, that did they ever disavow the Mark Robinson guy? Mark Robinson and all of his leaked stuff. Roy Moore in Alabama. MTG and her. But I mean, they believe in QAnon stuff, so I don't even know. Who was the woman that like blew the one dude in the theater? Was that Bobert? Did anything ever happen to her? Oh, sorry, it was just a hand job, my bad. No, she won her race? Okay. Bobert's theater hand job. You guys bring up the Tenet thing. Would that fall under this? The left-wing people aren't fun? Would this fall under the not fun thing? I don't know if actually this would. Hold on. I don't think any of these would fall. Actually, I think we've... Yeah, actually, hold on. This would go under a different section, I think. How the right deals with this problem. Let me think about this, actually. You're actually not really cleared for any type of joke on the right. That's not true. Because these people don't joke about Trump. Or they don't really joke about, like, white people or men as much, where they're the butt of the jokes. Right deals with this problem. Why do they get away with it and we don't? That's the question then. I wonder if it's just a systemic disadvantage because the the left are trying to keep people from joking about too many other types of people, whereas on the right, you can joke about basically everyone as long as it's not like the people they care about, and because they don't have as big of a tent, it's a narrower subset of people that you can't joke about. Maybe. Is there an example of a person getting in trouble for joking about men, whites, or Trump? They just don't really do it on the right because they wouldn't be able to get away with it, I don't think. When I think of like the Kill Tony thing where Shane Gillis is Donald Trump and the other guy comes in as Biden, like the jokes are very clearly meant to make Biden look bad, but make Trump look good, even though they're probably supposed to be making fun of both people, or you would think so, but they're not really. Trump is supposed to be like the badass and Biden is supposed to be retarded. And generally when people are telling jokes, I remember when I went to Texas to do that one thing, like all the jokes were anti-Biden jokes. Like I'm trying to think of any comedian in that type of environment who's legitimately making fun of Donald Trump or conservatives. I remember there was the RFK thing on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan shut down that impersonation like immediately. When the guy was going to make fun of RFK's voice, he shut it down immediately. Bill Burr probably doesn't count, but he does make fun of Trump. Bill Burr, I think Bill Burr is genuinely what? That's the question then. I don't know what you'd like this for. I don't think Bill Burr is like a super partisan hack. I think he's one of the few guys that's not like just a crazy partisan hack. I have respect for Bill Burr. I don't think he's like in the cult. Chappelle insulting Trump.
All this motherfucker's ideas sound like high people ideas. Like he doesn't think these things through before he tells us. He just tells us what he's thinking as soon as it occurs to him. This shit sounds nuts. I'm gonna go to China and I'm gonna get those jobs from China and bring them back here to America. For what, nigga? So iPhones can be $9,000? Leave that job in China where it belongs. None of us want to work that hard. The fuck is he thinking? I want to wear Nikes. I don't want to make them shits. What the fuck are you doing?
This is true, although this is 6 years ago. The more that I think about this, I don't think this is true. I don't think there's a difference in standards here, actually. But I thought there was. Fuck me. I think this is me just buying into a conservative talking point. I think the right do cancel for jokes that they don't like. I should know this firsthand over the Corey stuff. The right do cancel over jokes that they don't like. I think they just do, yeah. So why does it feel like that's different? Because it doesn't, the feeling isn't there. It feels like the left is more woke scoldy or not woke scoldy. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of the groups that are being targeted. I think for the right, it's because they're just protecting like 2 or 3 different groups you're not allowed to joke about, and everybody else is fair game. Whereas on the left, they're protecting a lot of different groups, so it feels more restrictive. Easier to fuck up, maybe. I would say that. I don't think this happens because the left is particularly bad about in-group jokes versus the right. I think it's just that the left's in-group is much larger, meaning there are fewer acceptable jokes to tell, whereas the right's in-group is much smaller, leaving a wide variety of jokes that you can tell about out-group individuals. I think that's probably it. As long as you're not telling crazy jokes that put conservatives, or at least that put Trump in a bad light. You're generally free to hit on as many other groups as you want. I don't even know what I would do for examples here. I guess like basically the entire... Apparently we don't talk about Bad and Banana. That guy's crazy. Oh yeah, so for example, so people who were canceled over Trump stuff, the right relentlessly targeted Alec Baldwin because of how upset they were over his Trump impersonations. The right generally, I'm going by social media vibes only here, thinks it's funny when independent satirists satirize or make fun of the left, but get incredibly upset when they satirize the right. I've personally seen this happen with Stone Toss and the Babylon Bee. I feel like every now and then Stone Toss or the Babylon Bee, they'll either make a comic or like a headline that makes fun of the right, and all of the comments beneath it are incredibly ass-pained. Some of the most ass-pain I've ever seen before. On the left, yeah. Essentially, it starts to feel like the only people you can make fun of on the left are people you have to punch up against, e.g. white people, men, wealthy people, Americans, etc. Somebody linked this tweet earlier. What about it? Looking at some unweighted DFP data by how much attention voters pay to political news. A great deal, Harris +8, a lot, Harris +5, a moderate amount, Trump +1, a little, Trump +8, none at all, Trump +15. How do they measure political news here? I'm curious. The thing to consider is that people who pay the least attention to politics are likely to align with whichever coalition seems like it has the chiller, larger tent and makes the fewest demands of what it counts to be on the team. To be a resident in good standing of MAGA Island, you need to basically say nice things about Trump. That's a huge leap for many. He's actually a scumbag, but it's pretty simple. To be a progressive in good standing is hard. Long list of items to follow. Yeah, that's true. That kind of follows here. The left will obsessively cancel over things that are clearly jokes done in ways that aren't even necessarily meant to offend or attack minority groups. Essentially, it starts to feel like the only people you can make fun of on the left are people you have to punch up against, such as white people, men, wealthy people, Americans, etc. And then on the right, as long as you're not telling crazy jokes that put Trump in a bad light, you're generally free to hit on as many other groups as you want. This is what I've been arguing with Brian Butler or Boatler, whatever, on Politics FM about all year. He thinks Dems could be effective anti-MAGA warriors just by being tougher and more aggressive. I think you need to refashion a much chiller coalition with less ideological content. Trump is about to appoint a Treasury Secretary who publicly and privately disagreed with the 10% tariff plan and has been expanding Trump's Wall Street support by reassuring people on this. Progressives have spent the decade deliberately shrinking the tent. Highly informed, highly attentive people. Okay, yeah. So examples of their solutions. How the right deals with this problem. Wait, what's the difference between this? Wait, how the right deals with the problem and examples. Oh. For if your rules for when joking in right-wing environments. So then what would our how to fix the problem? There needs to be an extreme loosening of what we consider to be racist or sexist, with a far bigger focus on problematic stuff, on labeling stuff, on labeling and analyzing content as problematic or as potentially problematic versus outright calling people racist, sexist, etc. I think it's okay to analyze like humor and say like, well, you know, is this bad? Is it good or whatever? Like, what kind of message are we sending? I think that's fine. I think engaging in that analysis is fine. But people are way too quick to like see a bad joke or whatever, like, oh, this guy's racist or this guy's whatever, horrible. Like, I think that's stupid. I don't even know what examples of potential solutions would be. People should be allowed to make edgy jokes, including racist, misogynistic, classist, etc., if they have a good track record of not being a horrible person, I guess. I don't know. People should be able to engage in critical analysis of humor and explain why something might be problematic without saying the entire person should be canceled forever, I guess. I feel like problematic is somehow worse because it feels pretentious. I mean, you have to choose a different word. Problematic rots people's brains, so you pick a different word for it. You can't use the word problematic anymore. You have to watch this TikTok. It's insane. Is it really insane?
Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump. There you go. You, mother. Trump or Kamala Harris? Kamala.
Careful.
Wait, is this your daughter? She said Donald Trump. You say Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty. That's
that works.
Does
Trump
that?
is better.
Right, she says Trump is better. Awesome. What makes you think Donald Trump's better?
I think if North Korea comes and they're trying to make us a war, I think Trump will scare them away.
Oh my gosh, this might be the smartest young lady I've ever met. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, W's in the chat for that little girl.
What is this? I don't know why I just watched this. Okay. Hold on one sec. Wow. I think this is why Tony Hinchcliffe speaking at the MSG Trump rally was so disappointing, because the jokes he's made in the past were really funny until we realized he actually believes what he's saying. I mean, I think he was still probably just joking at this rally. I don't know if we think he's like an actual racist. They were just really inappropriate jokes to make at a at a political rally, probably. Feels like there's a huge language buy-in to the left, and what people just hate, which drives them away. I have some mental health issues, and if I go to my brother, big lefty, and say I'm fucked in the head, he gets genuinely angry at me for using discriminatory language. But if I go to a normal person and say the same thing, they get it. I think excluding people just through the language we use on the left is huge in ways that people don't really think about. That's kind of true. I feel like that kind of comes with the left-wing people aren't fun. Or maybe this could be broadened into just like a language thing in general. Left political buy-in. There's too much shit to learn to be accepted. Maybe? I don't know. The thing is, this isn't even from like ordinary leftists, though. This is from like the leftists. I feel like this mostly comes from like socialists and like crazy progressives, but I don't know. Oh, okay. Whatever. We'll hammer all these out in the next 3 days. We could read the next 5 Federalist papers now if we want. Pisco might want to do a Spaces tonight, I think. I messaged him for one. We'll see. RFK Jr. says that he's firing and replacing 600 DOH employees. I thought he wasn't going to get a position in the cabinet or anything. I thought we were kind of like over that. No? Deepak calls out Asmongold and other right-wingers.
Know that I've ever seen a group of sore.
Oh, that's actually true. That's a good one. The left doesn't accept people who've abandoned the right. That's a really good point. Like Dick Cheney coming to the left, a lot of people, at least in the alternative media sphere, fought against that a ton and said it was horrible. We never accept these people. But if any big lefty was like, oh, I'm leaving the left to go to the right, the people on the right are like, oh my God, you left the left? Come tell us your story. Be a part of us.
Winners like the MAGA people after last Tuesday. Everyone from Charlie Kirk to Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, a streamer named Asmongold, are now gleefully taking pleasure in the short period of time during which we in progressive media lost some subscribers after Donald Trump's win last week. They smell blood in the water, and they want to end progressive media. Don't believe me? Well, I've got the receipts here. I told you last week, right when Trump won, that we and other left-wing YouTubers lost some subscribers. We lost about 10,000. Midas Touch lost about 30,000. Brian Tyler Cohen, Jesse Dollemore, others. We were all seeing it. The loss was...
Absent the Bill of Rights, what individual/state rights does the Constitution give? I feel like there's a good critique of it that the Anti-Federalists give. I mean, the Constitution isn't supposed to give rights to states or citizens, no? The whole point of the Constitution is that the Constitution is a document of enumerated powers, meaning if it's not explicitly left to the federal government, then it's, or delegated to the federal government, it's left up to the states after, no? Isn't that the whole point?
Really rapid on Wednesday, slower on Thursday, and by Friday, slowly, we started to see gains again. As new people said, I don't like the result, I'm going to find someone, a like-minded media outlet, and they say, I like this. And so by Friday, new subscribers started to outpace the people canceling. Don't get me wrong.
That's wrong. That's what the 10th Amendment said. Yeah, okay. I'm right. The 10th Amendment said that because the people that argued against the Constitution, the whole point of the Bill of Rights was them saying, we don't trust the fact that it's a constitution of enumerated powers, so we want you to put in writing things in the Bill of Rights that make us feel more comfortable with that. And that was arguably what the point of the Bill of Rights was. It was to basically give concessions to some of the anti-federalists, saying, okay, well, look here, like we'll literally put it in writing. But the Constitution is supposed to be a constitution of enumerated powers. If it's not explicitly left to the federal government, then the state governments are the ones that get to deal with it. Yes, the 10th Amendment literally says it in text, but I mean, that's... Hi, what's up?
Hey, buddy. Just wanted to say you were right on the Federalist Papers, that the Constitution was not trying to limit power initially. It was trying to create power where before it didn't exist. Like, the whole point of it was to constitute a government that could do something, not to necessarily limit power.
Sure. Although necessarily any federal government that has some power is limiting some kind of power, right? Because it has to either tax or... But yeah.
But you even see it in the first Federalist Papers that you're reading, their first argument is their strongest argument. Their first argument is the geostrategic argument about foreigners invading, because to the framers of this Constitution, what liberty meant was like not to be invaded and enslaved by foreigners.
Sure.
That's what the liberty was that they were more concerned about initially when they were setting up their Constitution. The Bill of Rights became something of an afterthought, and it was a promise for sure that was made at the end of the Constitutional Convention, but unanimously they voted it down initially. They wanted to get the Constitution first. But yeah, I think that people should view this Constitution as setting something up that didn't previously exist and trying to prevent the infringement of the greatest liberty, which is invasion from foreigners and being enslaved.
Sure, yeah.
Hey, buddy, are we spacing tonight or what's up?
Yeah, if you want to. When do you want to do it?
Up to you.
Up to me. Yeah. Right? Do you have a time in mind where you want to do it, or?
No, I mean, I'm chilling pretty much.
Okay. Do you want to do it in 1 hour? At 7:30?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Well, be careful. Bye. Somebody said that without the First Amendment, then would we still have free speech? You should. Yes, you're supposed to. Yes. Or at least that's my understanding. Fuck. Okay, let's finish this real quick.
There's a ton of people canceling, but the new subscribers are outpacing them. Well,
or at the very least, you'll have freedom of speech, how it's written in the First Amendment, and that the Congress can make no laws abridging freedom of speech, but the states might be able to.
MAGA influencers caught wind of this, and they are bloodthirsty, and they want to end us. They believe that now that Trump won, that now that Trump is going to go after adversarial media, now that Republicans have the Senate, that they can put us out of our misery for good and destroy independent left-wing media. They have become obsessed with this. There are hundreds of hours of videos talking about my explanation of what...
You have everything in the absence of laws. Laws only restrict them. I mean, in a very narrow, childish, reductive sense, that's true, but...
What's going on. I'll give you some examples. Trump-supporting streamer Tim Pool did a video called David Pakman Says It's Over. Losing subscribers and members begs...
Actually, no, I'm sorry. Even that's not true, because you can have positive rights that are given to you by laws. So, for instance, in the absence of laws, you would have no guarantee of a right to counsel, of a right to representation. That's a positive right that's doled out constitutionally to you. You would not have that in the absence of laws. So, no, even on a very reductive, basic sense, that's not true.
Leftists to please come back. A video in which he laughs and says that our supporters must have been artificially supported by the platforms, and they aren't even real subscriber numbers, that there's a thumb on the scales, was the term he uses, that now is being removed because Trump won. Right-wing YouTuber Nate the Lawyer did a video called Top Leftist YouTubers Losing Massive Amount of Subs After Trump Win, Blame Mainstream Media. Well, I didn't blame mainstream media. Whether losing 10,000 out of 2.6 million is a lot, well, I don't know. Big-time streamer Asmongold, who I have to tell you, I actually historically kind of like and find very entertaining. Asmongold did a video that now has more than 1 million views, where he says, well, I wonder why Pakman and the left is losing subscribers. Oh, too bad. I'd be glad to appear with Asmongold and talk about this. Dave Rubin, the arbiter of ideas, posted about my report on this. LOL, so long, suckers. You guys have lied about everything for years, called half the country racist Nazis. I never did that. And promoted every loony conspiracy theory, all the while being propped up by big tech. Your demise couldn't happen to a worse group of people. He's thrilled. Dave Rubin is thrilled. And by the way, he should be.
The Congress shall make no laws abridging also precludes the states from making such a law. That's not true. That wasn't true until the, I believe the 14th Amendment is where incorporation comes from. But we'll do a reading of the full Constitution, all the amendments as well. But I think this is where incorporation comes from, of constitutional things down to the states.
Since we've surpassed him both in views and subscribers, obviously Rubin should be thrilled about what he believes to be my impending demise. Adam McKay, who you might remember directed the film starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Don't Look Up, tweeted about my video, good. Legacy media and them influencers should lose every drop of credibility after the last, checks notes, 35 years. Another major right-wing YouTube channel, one of the worst, called The Quartering, did a video called Kamala Harris Shills Panic as Lies Finally Catch Up. David Pakman has meltdown, mass unsubscribes. Top right-winger Charlie Kirk responded to a thread by right-winger Colin Rugg, who has nearly 2 million followers. Rugg posted my video with the comment, Dem influencers are seeing record numbers of subscription cancellations along with mass...
Right to counsel is not law, ruling, or statute. First word is right, sigh. Okay, I mean, like, if you, fine, then there's no such thing. Don't ever use the term constitutional law, or I guess if you want to be hyper ultra pedantic, sure. But I mean, like, it's still a right that wouldn't exist absent the Constitution.
Exodus of followers. And Charlie Kirk responded, not tired of winning. They love it. Brett Weinstein from the former intellectual dark web sarcastically tweeted, gosh, whatever could be driving the exodus. Even Juanita Broderick, the woman who famously accused Bill Clinton of sexual assault, tweeted about this. And she said gleefully, the lies have caught up with them. Maybe if they start telling the truth, things will turn around. I sort of doubt they have that courage. And even the conspiracy website The Gateway Pundit picked it up with an article called Top Leftist Pundits Are Reportedly Hemorrhaging Subscribers Following Kamala's Decisive Defeat. All right, you get the picture. There's hundreds more. Understand that they want us gone. They smell blood. They think this is their best opportunity to get rid of us. If Elon Musk has Twitter deprioritize us, and maybe Trump goes after us, and they attack us and encourage people to cancel, I have to tell you, I kind of respect the game. Let me tell you what I mean. They think we are hugely damaging to the country. We think they are hugely damaging to the country. They have an opportunity here. They are taking it. They think they can destroy progressive independent media for good. So I'm here to deliver some bad news for them. This lasted about 48 hours, and it's going in the opposite direction. We're still fighting, okay? For every 2 people that are signing up for a membership on my website, 1 is canceling. There is fatigue. Some people are checking out. But we have way more subscribers today than we ever have. We had 1,000 new paid members in the last week. Yes, 500 canceled. I get it. But we have 1,000 new paid members in the last week. And we're not going to let them do it. We're not going to let them succeed. So certainly, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Not just this one. You all know our cohort here on the left online space. If you can...
Okay. All right. Let's see. In an hour, can I read 5 more of these? Let's try. Hassan stream right now.
This is crazy. I'm sorry. The tracking live movement shot of the lady running.
Help me decide between Staccato XC and Alien Frowny Face. He's watching my stream VODs? What? Okay, dude. Good luck. Oh, that's the bad empanada vid. Gotcha. Okay. You can't link to these individually, right? Nope. Okay. We were going to read, okay, we're reading 6 through 10. We've got 1 hour, and then we do Spaces with Pisco. I should change my title. How crucial is format in attracting broad buy-in from common voters for left content? For example, does using authoritative settings like InfoWars, war rooms versus casual sets subconsciously boost appeal and acceptance? Maybe. I'm sure it's all minorly plays out into it. What's the over-under of Hassan's coverage of you just creating more DGGers than it drives away? Hassan can't really cover me any more negatively. Like, he's already, like, his whole audience is poisoned against me. The only thing he can do is help me. That's part of the reason why Hassan had an explicit no coverage, no name mention, no anything, because he knows this. He knows that if he directs anybody towards any of my content, it's always going to help me. It's never going to hurt me because of how crazy, like, I'm literally Hitler in these people's minds. Like, he's built me up to these fantastical, legendarily delusional heights that any type of direct engagement with my content would shatter that illusion. So, yeah. He's probably just doing it now because he feels bad because my viewership is up. So anytime I get over 10K concurrents, he loses his mind a little bit. Spaces with Pisco at 1930. Oh, I guess right now also I'm a little bit of a diversion from him having to address anything that Ethan says as well. Okay, Federalist number 6 concerning dangers from dissensions between the states. Finally, John Jay has now gotten sick. We don't care about him anymore. We're just getting based writings from author Alexander Hamilton. The 3 last numbers of this paper have been dedicated to an enumeration of the dangers to which we should be exposed in a state of disunion from the arms and arts of foreign nations. I shall now proceed to delineate dangers of a different and perhaps still more alarming kind, those which will, in all probability, flow from dissensions between the states themselves and from domestic factions and convulsions. These have been already, in some instances, slightly anticipated, but they deserve a more particular and more full investigation. A man must be far gone in utopian speculations who can seriously doubt that, if these states should either be wholly disunited or only united in partial confederacies, the subdivisions into which they might be thrown would have frequent and violent contests with each other. To presume a want of motives for such contests as an argument against their existence would be to forget that men are ambitious, vindictive, and rapacious. To look for a continuation of harmony between a number of independent, unconnected sovereignties in the same neighborhood would be to disregard the uniform course of human events and to set at defiance the accumulated experience of ages. So basically saying, obviously, if you get a bunch of territories that live right next to each other, these people are going to go to war with each other, they're going to fight for resources, there's going to be differences between them, like it always happens. It's always happened in history, it will continue to happen in history, right? The causes of hostility among nations are innumerable. There are some which have a general and almost constant operation upon the collective bodies of society. Of this description are the love of power, or the desire of preeminence and dominion, the jealousy of power, or the desire of equality and safety. There are others which have a more circumscribed, though an equally operative influence within their spheres. Such are the rivalships and competitions of commerce between commercial nations. And there are others, not less numerous than either of the former, which take their origin entirely in private passions, in the attachments, enmities, interests, hopes, and fears of leading individuals in the communities of which they are members. Men of this class, whether the favorites of a king or of a people, have in too many instances abused the confidence they possessed, and assuming the pretext of some public motive, have not scrupled to sacrifice the national tranquility to personal advantage or personal gratification. Basically, tons of people will go to war for tons of reasons. This is just always a thing in human history, right? The celebrated Pericles, in compliance with the resentment of a prostitute, at the expense of much of the blood and treasure of his countrymen, attacked, vanquished, and destroyed the city of the Samnians. The same man, stimulated by private pique against the Megarensians? I don't know how to pronounce this shit. Another nation of Greece, or to avoid a prosecution with which he was threatened as an accomplice of a supposed theft of the statuary Phidias, or to get rid of the accusations prepared to be brought against him for dissipating the funds of the state in the purchase of popularity, or from a combination of all these causes, was the primitive author of that famous and fatal war, distinguished in the Grecian annals by the name of the Peloponnesian War, which, after various vicissitudes, intermissions, and renewals, terminated in the ruin of the Athenian Commonwealth. Christ.
Vicissitude.
A change of circumstances or fortune. Let's see. Hamilton begins by laying out all the different ways that neighboring nations have come to compete and fight with each other in the past. The ambitious cardinal, who was prime minister to Henry VIII, permitting his vanity to aspire to the Triple Crown, entertained hopes of succeeding in the acquisition of that splendid prize by the influence of the Emperor Charles V. To secure the favor and interest of this enterprising and powerful monarch, he precipitated England into a war with France, contrary to the plainest dictates of policy, and at the hazard of the safety and independence, as well of the kingdom over which he presided by his counsels, as of Europe in general. For if there ever was a sovereign who bid fair to realize the project of universal monarchy, it was the Emperor Charles V, of whose intrigues Wolsey was at once the instrument and the dupe. Obviously, going over history of conflicts and all this, I guess people at the time would have been more familiar with this. Maybe you guys are familiar with this. I'm not, because history is cringe. I'm just kidding. I just haven't studied this. The influence which the bigotry of one female, the petulance of another, and the cabals of a third had in the contemporary policy, ferments, and pacifications of a considerable part of Europe are topics that have been too often descanted upon not to be generally known. To multiply examples of the agency of personal considerations and the production of great national events, either foreign or domestic, according to their direction, would be an unnecessary waste of time. Those who have but a superficial acquaintance with the sources from which they are to be drawn will themselves recollect a variety of instances, and those who have a tolerable knowledge of human nature will not stand in need of such lights to form their opinion either of the reality or extent of that agency. It's basically self-evident that, like, human history is full of conflict with one another for good reasons and bad reasons, basically. Perhaps, however, a reference tending to illustrate the general principle may with propriety be made to a case which has lately happened among ourselves. If Shays had not been a desperate debtor, it is much to be doubted whether Massachusetts would have been plunged into a civil war. This is a reference to Shays' Rebellion, I believe, right? A violent uprising in Massachusetts from 86 to 87. Okay. So we are aware of this because it was part of our insurrection research, right? Oh, so this is a real life example. So he's basically saying, like, people go to war and do conflict for all sorts of crazy personal and public reasons and all, like, dumb things, right? And, like, here's an example. Shays' Rebellion, I imagine, would be fresh in people's minds. This guy, part of the rebellion, was probably instigated by the fact that he was, like, severely in debt. Right, so he's giving a real life example. This has already happened in the newly formed colonies and the newly formed Confederation of States. Yeah. But notwithstanding the concurring testimony or experience, in this particular, there are still to be found visionary or designing men who stand ready to advocate the paradox of perpetual peace between the states, though dismembered and alienated from each other. He's referring to people that will still try to make the argument that, wow, having 4 different confederacies is going to be better. Yeah. Hassan just said that you're lying about being invited to the DNC. Why would he? What do you mean? We literally had... My chat was literally upset about me not going. What do you mean? I don't want to, like... You said you never got an invite and are lying? I mean, I can link the form. I mean, I don't want to leak Kyla's logs. Kyla linked me a thing. She said, fill this out for the DNC tonight or send me your this and I'll do it, assuming you're coming, yeah. And I said, I'll check this after stream. Give me 15 minutes. She said, okay, I'm confirming your game for this. If not, I would want to get your pass to someone else. I have to do this by tonight. And I said, okay, just checking what are the dates for this and what are the plans for this. Is there a write-up of anything that's, like, officially happening? She said it's the 19th to the 23rd, no official write-up. We'll be in the media hall with other major media teams, live streaming on site with the ability to go mobile on the main areas. You can talk to each other, political surrogates, and other media members that attend. Blah, blah, blah. And then my response, she got really mad. My response was, okay. I think I'm going to sit this one out and just cover from home. I'm trying to crush streaming hours / YouTube stuff this month because my last few have been slacking. And I feel like I'll be able to better connect with your broadcasts and stuff from home. And then she sent me this GIF in response. And then I sent her a smiley face. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else you want me to say. I don't know. Okay. I mean, if he wants to think I wasn't invited, that makes him, like, feel better about himself, then he can, I mean, knock yourself out, I guess. Like, why would I even lie about this? Like, I have no problem if the DNC didn't want to work with me. I could understand. I'm a super spicy content creator. But I wouldn't even be mad. I would, like, get it, right? Thoughts on turning this into prepared content for wider dissemination? It could also serve as a mission statement for the media company. Maybe. He's trying really hard to pedo jacket me. Why? He fucked Paris Hilton when she was like 19, I think, and he was like his mid or late 20s, wasn't he? Why would he try to pedo jacket me? I'm pretty sure he's fucked more young people than I have. I don't know why he. I mean, like, what does he want to? I don't know. Fuck, but like, he can figure his shit out. I don't really care. And if that didn't happen, wait, did I say Paris Hilton? No, I said Paris Jackson, not Paris Hilton. If I said Paris Hilton, I'm pretty sure I said Paris Jackson. Okay. Anyway, back here. Maybe fuck Paris Hilton too. Who knows? But now, okay, we're continuing on this. The genius of republics, say they, is pacific. The spirit of commerce has a tendency to soften the manners of men and to extinguish those inflammable humors which have so often kindled into wars. Commercial republics like ours will never be disposed to waste themselves in ruinous contentions with each other. They will be governed by mutual interest and will cultivate a spirit of mutual amity and concord. Okay, so he's saying this is what the anti-federalists are arguing. They think that, well, just because we trade, that means just because that we trade with each other, we'll never go to war with each other. He's attacking these people, basically. Is it not, we may ask these projectors in politics, the true interest of all nations to cultivate the same benevolent and philosophic spirit? If this be their true interest, have they in fact pursued it? Has it not, on the contrary, invariably been found that momentary passions and immediate interest have a more active and imperious control over human conduct than general or remote considerations of policy, utility, or justice? Have republics in practice been less addicted to war than monarchies? Are not the former administered by men as well as the latter? Are there not aversions, predilections, rivalships, and desires of unjust acquisitions that affect nations as well as kings? Are not popular assemblies frequently subject to the impulses of rage, resentment, jealousy, avarice, and of other irregular and violent propensities? Is it not well known that their determinations are often governed by a few individuals in whom they place confidence and are, of course, liable to be tinctured by the passions and views of those individuals? Has commerce hitherto done anything more than change the objects of war? Is not the love of wealth as domineering and enterprising a passion as that of power or glory? Have there not been as many wars founded upon commercial motives since that has become the prevailing system of nations, as were before occasioned by the cupidity of territory or dominion? Has not the spirit of commerce in many instances administered new incentives to the appetite, both for the one and for the other? Let experience, the least fallible guide of human opinions, be appealed to for an answer to these inquiries. So saying that, obviously, listen, like nations have been trading with each other for a long time, republics have existed, they still go to war with each other. He argues against the idea that commerce alone would dissuade nations from warring with each other, as they continue to do so up to that day. What is Hassan's problem? Why is he so obsessed with Tiny? Probably because he's starting to take some of his first optics L's against me ever. I think probably the rape clip and the Jew shit, all of it is probably pretty bad. He's probably like pretty upset that he's lost. Like, I think he lost that Bernie Sanders opportunity as a result of all of that. He's probably for the first time started to get hate from external communities. He probably doesn't deal with that very much, except for maybe when people are attacking him in conservative communities, but they're not. I don't know how often they even cross. And then the fighting with Ethan's community and Ethan himself is probably weighing on him. And then Asmongold and XQC jumping into also Pylon. It's probably one of the first times that he's like dealt with a lot of hate from multiple communities. At the end of the day, he's a relatively fragile person. It sounds like I'm just talking shit, but like he does have a lot of, I say that, but like he's probably normal or more normal. He still has an abnormal tolerance for online hate. You have to work in this industry, but it's probably more than he's used to dealing with, and he's probably not exceptionally good at it. This is part of the reason why it's nice to come up with a big community, is because you're also protected by that big community. So he's probably lashing out a bit or trying to like regain control of the narrative, or like get people to focus their attacks on me or whatever to make himself feel better. But the problem is psychologically, I'm infinitely more powerful than he is. Okay, I will. Never mind. I was gonna make more pedophile jokes. like he's trying to like pedo jacket me and shit. Like I fought this shit for like 15 years. Like it's not gonna happen. Okay, I don't give a fuck. I don't care if I am. Well, what are you gonna do to me, bro? You're wild. You're never gonna have a clip of me unironically arguing that it's good that some women are getting raped versus others. Like it's not even close to the same thing. Or you copy paste like, oh, look at this joke that he said in his chat, and blah blah blah. It's not gonna come anywhere close to like the unhinged shit that you said unironically on stream. But I mean, like you keep playing those Nick Fuentes clips and see how far that gets you, I guess. Okay, sorry. Sparta, Athens, Rome, and Carthage were all republics. Two of them, Athens and Carthage, of the commercial kind, yet they as often engaged in wars, offensive and defensive, as the neighboring monarchies of the same times. Sparta was little better than a well-regulated camp, and Rome was never sated of carnage and conquest. Carthage, though a commercial republic, was the aggressor in the very war that ended in her destruction. Hannibal had carried her arms into the heart of Italy and to the gates of Rome before Scipio, in turn gave him an overthrow in the territories of Carthage and made a conquest of the Commonwealth. I should save like notable quotes. It's Scipio. Venice, in later times, figured more than once in wars of ambition, till, becoming an object to the other Italian states, Pope Julius II found means to accomplish that formidable league, which gave a deadly blow to the power and pride of this haughty republic. The provinces of Holland, till they were overwhelmed in debts and taxes, took a leading and conspicuous part in the wars of Europe. They had furious contests with England for the dominion of the sea and were among the most persevering and most implacable, of the opponents of Louis XIV. In the government of Britain, the representatives of the people compose one branch of the national legislature. Commerce has been for ages the predominant pursuit of that country. Few nations, nevertheless, have been more frequently engaged in war, and the wars in which the kingdom has been engaged have, in numerous instances, proceeded from the people. There have been, if I may so express it, almost as many popular as royal wars. The cries of the nation and the importunities of their representatives have, upon various occasions, dragged their monarchs into war or continued them in it contrary to their inclinations and sometimes contrary to the real interests of the state. In that memorable struggle for superiority between the rival houses of Austria and Bourbon, which so long kept Europe in a flame, it is well known that the antipathies of the English against the French, seconding the ambition, or rather the avarice, of a favorite leader, protracted the war beyond the limits marked out by sound policy, and for a considerable time in opposition to the views of the court. All of these things, obviously, all of these are just examples of like, hey, if we have like different confederacies, we're going to war with each other. Like it's going to happen. It's just like we're always going to fight. People fight. Whether we're republics, monarchies, whether we're trade-based or whatever, like people fight. We always fight. The wars of these two last mentioned nations have in a great measure grown out of commercial considerations, the desire of supplanting and the fear of being supplanted, either in particular branches of traffic or in the general advantages of trade and navigation. One of the things that's interesting here, I wish I had this quote earlier, is I argued a long time ago with a libertarian guy in 2018 maybe. He might have been he wasn't the leader of the Libertarian Party, but I think he was a big guy in the Libertarian Party. And his argument was for World War II, we should have never interfered. We should have just traded with everybody because a trade empire never goes to war. These would have been good arguments if I had read the Federalist Papers. I would have had good arguments against this. Or I could have given like, well, here's the historical arguments that were made historically about trade empires never engaging in war and that it absolutely happens. Yeah. Was it Larry Sharp? Yes, it was. It was him. From this summary of what has taken place in other countries, whose situations have borne the nearest resemblance to our own, what reason can we have to confide in those reveries which would seduce us into an expectation of peace and cordiality between the members of the present Confederacy in a state of separation? Have we not already seen enough of the fallacy and extravagance of those idle theories which have amused us with promises of an exemption from the imperfections, weaknesses, and evils incident to society in every shape? Is it not time to awake from the deceitful dream of a golden age and to adopt as a practical maxim for the direction of our political conduct that we, as well as the other inhabitants of the globe, are yet remote from the happy empire of perfect wisdom and perfect virtue? Basically saying, like, this is a pipe dream. This is never going to happen, that we're all peaceful with each other. Let the point of extreme depression to which our national dignity and credit have sunk, let the inconveniences felt everywhere from a lax and ill administration of government, let the revolt of a part of the state of North Carolina, the late menacing disturbances in Pennsylvania, and the actual insurrections and rebellions in Massachusetts, Shays' Rebellion, declare. So far is the general sense of mankind from corresponding with the tenets of those who endeavor to lull asleep our apprehensions of discord and hostility between the states in the event of disunion, that it has, from long observation of the progress of society, become a sort of axiom in politics that vicinity or nearness of situation constitutes national natural enemies. If you're near each other, you will always fight, basically, right? An intelligent writer expresses himself on this subject using as many slurs as possible on Twitter. An intelligent writer expresses himself on this subject to this effect. Neighboring nations, says he, are naturally enemies of each other unless their common weakness forces them to league in a confederate republic, and their constitution prevents the differences that neighborhood occasions, extinguishing that secret jealousy which dispossesses all states to aggrandize themselves at the expense of their neighbors. This passage, at the same time, points out the evil and suggests the remedy. What does it say, quote from? From Principles des Négociations. Looks like French. Cringe. Is a book by Gabriel Bonnet de Mobley, that was first published in 1757. The book covers topics such as international trade, modern warfare, diplomacy, and the role of ambassadors. Cute. Doesn't this contradict the claim that globalism prevents wars? No, I don't think so. I think having deeper integrations with people always leads to less fighting. This is arguing for superstructures that keep people from fighting with one another. You could argue that a form of like a multilateral trade agreement or things like the United Nations or whatever. Keep in mind that like these big superstructures like the UN or the EU, none of these things existed at the time that this was being written, but all of these arguments would probably be used in, they would be used in support of those types of superstructures, basically. You skipped a paragraph. Wait, where? This one? No. You trolled me. Fuck you. You trolled me.